Well, the Federal Open Market Committee is the monetary policy-making body of the Federal Reserve System. The FOMC, as it is called, met last week to discuss the economy and interest rates. In this week's U.S. Bank Economic 360, U.S. Bank Vice President and Senior Portfolio Manager Keith Sessions joins us with some insight into what the Federal Open Market Committee decided. He's with Business Courier Market Engagement Director Kelly Snyder in the studio. Keith and Kelly?
Thanks. Keith, thanks so much for being here. So what did the FOMC decide, and what does that mean?
Sure. So this week, the FOMC decided that they would keep interest rates the same. And by interest rates, these are the short-term rates that banks charge other banks in overnight lending, and that remained at 225 to 250. The important thing, though, is the language that we heard from the Fed after the meeting. So they've been using the word patience for a while, which means they were going to evaluate data and look at it. This time, it was much more indicative of a possible future rate cut. And the market is looking at that, probably July, maybe September. With a rate cut, and the argument for that side of it is kind of three parts. Number one, the key economic indicator that they look at for inflation is remaining under 2%, and their target is 2%. A rate cut would help kind of spur the economy, maybe get that up a little bit, and yes, you do want some inflation. The next is job growth is starting to slow a little bit. So we look at something called non-farm payroll and see how many jobs are added or lost each month. May's number was 75,000. April's number was 224,000. You're still adding jobs, but it's slowing down a little bit. Again, an indication of economy that might need a little bit of a boost. And lastly, there are concerns about trade and some of the policies that are going on. A month ago, we talked about trade with China. Mexico's now in the mix. Jay Powell, the Fed chairman, has specifically stated that he's looking at these trade negotiations and how they'll impact economic expansion in the future.
So what will you be watching when the FOMC meets again in July?
Yeah, so when they meet at the very end of July, you're looking for not just what they do, but what they say. This month you had one dissenting vote. It's the first time we've seen a dissenting vote since Jay Powell took over as chairman. And you want to see if they don't make a change, are there more members of the Fed that are lobbying for a decrease in interest rates? The market right now pretty much has priced in a rate cut in July. That doesn't mean that we're going to get it. It's something that could change, and as they move through, we'll watch and see.
Great. Well, that makes sense. Thanks so much for being here.